Okay, forget all the other stuff I just said, but welcome back to, this is week 2 of PLC II. I'm going to share my screen with you and show you today's agenda, which is a fairly short one. As I said before I started recording, I want to introduce you to some stuff and then give you this time to do some work. I'm going to do the basic welcome, which we kind of did off camera here. Going to introduce you. I said we were going to start working on the hot topic stuff, and that's true. I'm going to introduce you to this week's hot topic, but the processing of that is going to take place next week, and I'll explain that here in just a second. We're going to get into this idea of personal response and clear modeled expectations from the work of Schlechte, which through the video that I'm hopeful that you watched with Mrs. Baker, and you talked about Antonetti's cube. One of the sides of Antonetti's cube is Schlechte's work. And in particular, as I said, we'll talk about personal response and clear model expectations. And within the framework of your assignment today, you're going to look at some videos of teachers actually teaching in a class. And you're going to try to pick out personal response and clear modeled expectations. And I'll show you how to do that. And then, as I said, I'm going to let you have some work time in this class, and you'll have time to work before all the other stuff is due. So we'll kind of get into that. Let me go back to the module for this week. Okay, so you see, do we see the week 2 module, online week 2? We're good with that? Thumbs up if you see that. Okay. The hot topic materials for discussion next week. So there is a video, and that video, I'm going to flip to that. If you click on that video, it is a, can you see the screen? Testing, Linda Darling Hammond, can you see that? Okay. When you click on that link here, this video pops up, and this is a 15-minute video about mostly she talks about the evils of standardized testing. And so when we come back next week, I'm hopeful that you will have watched that video, because we're going to do some group discussion amongst those who are here. And you'll do these questions for discussion. So you can look at the questions. Oops, I just started the video and I didn't want to do that. You can take a look at those questions and understand that in groups next week, we'll be discussing those questions. If you're here next week, I'm not going to make you write a response or anything. If you're not here next week, the way that you can make up that time is to write a response to watching the video. So basically, the assignments you have for the hot topic is to watch this video, find 15 minutes to watch it. It actually is pretty informative for a lot of things, not the least of which is what you're learning in the framework of your assessment class now and your curriculum instruction, and within the framework of the PLC II class, are how to design units and how to engage students in specific learning strategies that maximize their learning. You know, and Dr. Darling Hammond talks about how standardized testing fits into that, or in many cases how it doesn't fit into that. So that's the rationale behind doing this particular video. And this is the start of those videos and documents that you guys turned into me. So these hot topic videos and documents that we'll be doing here over the next few weeks, these are from your classmates. So if you don't like them, it's not my fault. Don't blame me. Except blame me, because I'm the one that's, so that works out. So that's for next week. The only thing that you need to do with that literally is to watch the video and then come back next week prepared to discuss. As far as, I think I'll show you the actual assignment first. So this week in your observation, I'm going to ask you to look for 2 Schlechte qualities as were discussed in Mrs. Baker's video and the Antonetti cube. First one is called analyzing instruction for personal response. And then you'll also be looking for clear modeled expectations. And you can read through this, but I'm going to read at least part of it to you. It says, you now have gained a good understanding of Antonetti's cube by watching the video presented by Mrs. Baker and completing the accompanying assignment. Well, hint, hint, there was no accompanying assignment. Hopefully you just watched the video, okay? Now it's time to actually be able to observe each of the engaging qualities in action. So for the next few weeks in this class, we're going to pick 2 of those qualities per week, and we're going to ask you to view videoed classes and try to pick out what you see in terms of those expectations. This week, we're going to focus on personal response and clear model expectations. So we've got 3 videos here below. The first one is a high school example. So if you're a secondary person, you're welcome to watch any of these, honestly. But if you're a secondary person, the one you probably want to focus on is this one. There's a middle school example from 7th grade ELA. And there's an elementary example from a 2nd grade classroom that deals with retelling. And the high school is a math class talking about, among other things, slope, if I remember correctly. Okay. Those are the 3 videos that we've selected for you. So when you do that, you're going to open up this link also. It says graphic organizer to identify qualities of engaging work. I'm going to stop the share for a second, and I'm going to share another page with you. Okay, so when you open that document, you will get each of the 8 qualities of engaging work according to Schlechte. And you'll see that they are here as Mrs. Baker explained them to you and as they look on Antonetti's cube. And again, the ones we're going to focus on this week are personal response and clear model expectations. So essentially, what we're going to ask you to do is look through these lessons and see if you can find examples of personal response. Can you find examples of where students make connections? Can you find examples of when students summarize things in their own words? Can you find examples of when students make a prediction and then support it with facts that have been delivered through instruction? Can you find examples of when students give opinions about something in the framework of a lesson? What we don't want to use for this is it's not just a recall of answers, not questions where there's only one answer possible, or not questions where the teacher talks about only one answer being accepted, okay? In the framework of personal response, there's more than one right answer in what the teachers are looking for. The other thing that we'll ask you to look for this week are clear model expectations. So in some way, shape, or form, does the teacher make the student know what success looks like for that assignment or for that thing they're doing in class? What does that look like? Are there clear objectives that are posted of what the activity was or what they're supposed to learn by the time the activity is done? In the Principles of Assessment class, you guys did I can statements. So if you notice in a classroom that there are I can statements that are posted on the wall, that's an example of clear model expectations, clear and model expectations. Are there models of expectation and strategy? And by that, it would mean, does a teacher by chance, like in a math class, ask a student to break down the strategy that he or she used in solving a math problem? There may be more than one way to go about doing it. And so by explaining the strategy the student goes through, other students can learn from that. Visual exemplars. So that persist. So are there things hanging up around the classroom that would say to students, this is the right way to do something? For instance, those anchor charts that you guys did in your curriculum instruction class, if we were to take those and say we were actually back in our physical classroom, if we were to take those and put those up on our wall, that would be a clear model expectation of what success would look like, because we've broken down those Marzano and Hattie strategies with each other. Rubrics or self-assessments, if you see those in action. Specific procedures about how to complete a task, and on and on. And you can read that too. And so this document, as I stop sharing that and go back to sharing the other screen, maybe, come on. Awesome, my internet is running slowly. There it is. So this document is available, and you'll probably want to refer to that, not just for this week, but for the other weeks that we do these too, okay? As you can see, over the next few weeks, we'll be taking different parts of Schlechte's work. So always refer back to that document. Okay, so we'll also ask you to open up this graphic organizer to identify the qualities of engaging work. And that will look like, oops, that will look like this. So today, for this particular observation that you're doing, quality is being studied. You know, one is clear and modeled expectations. Um, um, you can check the video that's being examined. You know, either the elementary, the middle, or the high school example. And then after that, you're going to cite at least one example from the video of the qualities being studied. Now, we're going to ask you to watch the same video for all of the different qualities. So you're going to see the same video several different times. If you if your contention is that a particular quality is not seen in the lesson, that's okay. But we're going to ask you to actually discuss what the teacher could have done in order to add that quality within the framework of the lesson. Okay, so even though you may not notice it in the lesson itself, you're going to be asked to, in your opinion, how the teacher could have added that in. Okay, so that's the graphic organizer that we're going to ask you to use. Okay, I just threw an awful lot of information out at you there in about 7 minutes. So what questions do you have in terms of what we just talked about, if any? Okay, either you're all frozen or you have no questions. Okay, I see some smiles. So I'm going to say that means there's probably no questions. Okay. Let me think here. I think that the due date on this, the first two engaging qualities, I think that that's April 3rd, which is tomorrow. I'm actually going to push that back. If I made it due on Monday night, that would give me time to take a look at it before Wednesday. So I'll give you a few days to do that. And as always, the way that this semester is working, if, I've had at least one student lose internet access. I've had others that have tried to log on when others are at peak times, so their internet's running slowly. Get it done. There's not going to be a late penalty, but these are things that we need you to get done so that we can make sure that you're doing the work in the right way. So as you can, get it done, and I will work with you however I can. One last thing I would say about that is you're also asked in the curriculum and instruction class to complete kind of a chart or a worksheet, if you will, that asks you to identify different instructional strategies as you see them in the classroom. You can use the videos that you're watching for PLC II class to identify Marzano and Hattie strategies as well, and you can double dip. You can use the videos you're watching for this class to fill out the documentation that you need for those strategies in the other classes as well. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? Okay. All right. Well, that's the assignment. Let me go back one more time to share my screen. Okay, so again, here in week 2, we're going to ask you to go to the hot topic and just view the video. That's all you got to do before next week is view the video about standardized testing. It's about 15 minutes long. We'll ask you to kind of peruse Schlechty's 8 qualities of engagement. If you have not watched Mrs. Baker's video, that's available in our week 1 module. You need to watch that before you really do any of this other stuff. After you've done all that, you can look at the analyzing instruction for personal response, choose one of the 3 videos, theoretically based on your content area or level, and then you can watch those videos, fill out that graphic organizer, turn it in, and then you're done. That's the work we expect from you for this week. Okay. Questions about that? All right, so it's about 2:20, a little bit before. You got some time now. I'm gonna end the meeting, well, actually, I'll avoid doing that for a second. You're free to log off at any point now that you want to. If you have some questions that you want to ask me, I'll stay on for a few minutes, and then you can ask me if you like. I'm going to stop the recording. Before I do that, I'm going to wish all of you a good afternoon. As I said, stay safe, and if you have issues or questions beyond what you're asking here, you can always email me, and I'll do my best to give you an answer. Or we can Zoom one-on-one if we need to do that too. Okay, so take care, be safe, and we will see you for PLC 2 next week.